Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We bring you stories of faith, love, and devotion. Yeah, just kidding, please help us grow by hitting that like button. Now on to the story. I learned the hard way. Long story, but I hope it helps someone and it will help me to get it off my mind. Me, 64M, XW, 65F, were together 20 years, married 17. No kids. We divorced 8 years ago. We are both professionals. I have owned my own business for 35 plus Y and helped her start 6 different businesses while we were together, none of which succeeded or lasted long. She had difficulty with paperwork, which was essential for her business, and she felt she was more accomplished than she was, due to lack of experience. I was previously divorced and she had never been married. I was once divorced with a daughter. My first wife accused me of cheating at the end of the marriage, which I never did. I think she was just fishing for some helpful information. She said she was going to meet up with someone who had all the dirt. I told her good, because I wanted to see what I was doing, because I sure wasn't having any fun at that point in time. She never found anything and the supposed person with the info never showed. We started dating as she was finishing her MS degree. I paid all her school loans. We both have ADHD, which is controlled with medication. Hers is more severe and she takes several meds and I take one. She was very fun, beautiful, smart, quick to anger and histrionic, always wanting attention. I am more down to earth, easygoing, non-confrontational but not shy and a jokester at heart. I do have flaws like some procrastination, and although very manly, I am not an alpha male. I try to please, but have learned to set boundaries. I did not want to get married a second time, but after 3 years of dating she insisted that if we were to stay together then we needed to be married. I didn't get a prenup, she wouldn't sign one. Red flag. My bad. I had owned a successful business for over 10 years by the time we met. For years we were happy and bought a house together. We had friends, although I don't have many close individual friends and am by nature a bit of a loner and a workaholic. She had a lot of friends, but they tended to be short-term friends. Red flag. It took a few dates before there was any intimacy because she wanted to go slow, but she also told me she tended to have sex quickly. Red flag. And she has been cheated on before and had cheated before. Big red flag. Sex was amazing for both of us. I had to be the instigator. If we were regular it was easy. If there was any gap like a few days, then I had to romance extra and warm her up to get her going. Also, just like the rest of the relationship, 80% or more of the work was from me. She knew that I would never cheat on her and even bragged to everyone that her husband would never cheat, and even called into a radio talk show on Valentine's Day that was bashing men and stated her husband would never cheat. She was expensive due to her meds and her insurance and taste for the finer things. She also liked taking different CE classes, and different seminars for new variations of her profession. They tended to be very expensive and she almost never got to ROI with any of the businesses she started. I was starting businesses for her and maintaining them, which was expensive. They were never successful as they couldn't do the paperwork, which was essential in her profession. She spent 1 year in a city 100 miles away for training and 6 months. Stints several states away for training. Both times needing an apartment act. She would go to weekend or week-long seminars for training, sometimes close but sometimes several states away. Most of these I don't believe she used to cheat, but I don't know. One of the last ones I paid for was in Florida and she had to get a wax for her bathing suit, which she had never done before. Red flag. I don't know if she cheated on trips, but if so it was probably with someone she picked up. On her 50th birthday she had a party where she said she invited some female friends to our house for a party over a weekend. I had to stay away and get a motel room because it was a girls only party. She insisted that I stay away or she would be very angry. Maybe a red flag. By about the middle of the marriage she decided she no longer wanted to work at a job. She just wanted to stay home and garden. That was about the same time the economy went bust and making ends meet was tough. I worked long hours to support us, which made her mad because she was home all day and bored. I would come home tired and wasn't interactive enough with her. She admitted she was somewhat of a princess and liked to have things given and done for her. I did all of my laundry and a lot of my own cooking. I fixed everything around the house. I am very skilled in a lot of repair and improvement type situations. I even remodeled a glassed-in room of our house for her to use as an office. I was very patient with her as she constantly criticized me all during the remodel. She didn't believe I could do it and that it wouldn't look good when I was done. When it was done, she reluctantly said it looked great. She wanted a break at one point and wanted me to move out. I purchased a used camper that I put on the business property. I stayed there for several weeks. One day when I went to the house to help her with something, I slipped on the ice when leaving the house and suffered a concussion. She made me stay there and took care of me. We started talking and I moved back in. With the tight economy and her not willing to work, I started being more quiet and reserved. I was working hard yet we were falling behind on bills and she wasn't helping. Bedroom was dead for 2 years and if I tried to initiate she claimed she would get anxiety and shut down. We both had been to PC for years, mostly for me to get the medication I needed, and she had always gone for meds and other. She originally thought she was sexually molested as a child, but a therapist put that in her head and it never actually happened. She had told her parents for years that she believed she was molested as a baby, but she wasn't, and finally admitted as much. She has 3 sisters. One a couple years older and has been in and out of a mental institution, one a couple years younger that has had her problems holding jobs, and a third one a few years younger apparently has the mentality of a grade school-aged child and lives with an older woman. The siblings all have their mental stresses. We started MC and it helped a little, but the main problems continued. Her not willing to work to help with finances and me being resentful. She started to goad me at the MC to say we needed to get divorced. I finally had enough and said we would get divorced. I am very much against divorce, but there was no other option. I realize now that I also took on blame from many of her accusations that wasn't deserved because I was being a wimp and hurting. She was very adept at turning almost anything negative into being my fault. I am a person who takes responsibility for my actions and deeds. Just too easily with her when it is not really my fault. I stood up for myself occasionally, but not nearly enough. What I didn't know was that later she started setting up the circumstances for her to get the most out of the divorce. I wish I had found Reddit while all of this was happening. I didn't handle the divorce well. She purposely didn't work for the last year of the marriage and claimed mental incapacity to get the best she could in the settlement. That way her alimony could be maxed. We live in a no-fault state, so the affair made no difference. I have to pay her way too much, and although, as the accountant said, it is half of what living with her monthly was costing, it still hurts every month and takes away from my retirement and any savings. About 15 years into the marriage we started sleeping in separate rooms and had separate landlines. She needed one for one of her imaginary businesses, as well as cell phones. One night a phone rang and I went into the living room to answer it. I get emergency calls. I picked up one of her landline phones on accident, sleepy and confused, and heard her and AP having phone sex. I was stunned and slowly put the phone back down. I went to my room and tried to think what to do. I could have burst into her room and confronted her, but then I decided to try to record the calls for proof. I didn't sleep that night or for many nights thereafter. I put a recorder on her line, but it would make a click when you picked up the receiver, so she started using her cell phone exclusively. At that time I knew nothing about VARs, hidden cameras, or cell phone apps for tracking and listening. She heard the click on her landline and stopped using it and would only use her cell phone. A few days later I went to use her Mac computer to try open a storage drive that wouldn't open on my PC. She had gone for a walk. When I lifted the lid, a naked picture of her popped up. I started looking and she and AP were sending naked pictures back and forth. I had asked many times during the marriage to take a naked picture of her and she flatly refused, saying that there would be no way she would allow that kind of picture to be taken of her. I took the laptop to work and downloaded the pictures and emails. When I got back home I gave her the laptop. She thought she had misplaced somewhere. She was always losing keys etc. due to her ADHD. I told her I found the pics. She became very angry and said I had invaded her privacy on the laptop I had purchased for her. She was going to get me for that. Then she asked if I had copied anything and I played dumb and said I didn't know how to on a MacBook. She threatened that I should give her anything I had copied. When she calmed down I asked how she could send those pics to someone when for years she had refused to allow me to take one. She said it was none of my business. I asked if she was having sex with AP and she said yes. I said so you are cheating on me which you swore you would never do. She said she wasn't cheating. I asked what she called it and she had no answer. I was mad and kept asking how she could send those pics via the internet, which could easily be pirated, after refusing me for so many years. She wouldn't answer. She then said I cheated first because I had been looking at porn after we had stopped having sex more than 2 years ago. I said that porn was not the same as PA. She said it was, so I asked her if we asked each of our parents which was worse, what they would think was worse. She didn't answer that. Eventually she got up and left. I found out later she went to a neighbor and told him I was threatening to be physically abusive. I wasn't, but I should have had a camera recording to help prove my innocence if it was to come up. She wanted me to leave the house and I said no, I didn't do anything wrong. She went to a friend's place and then rented a place to stay until we were divorced. I went into depression and couldn't eat or do anything but work and sleep and cry. When she saw me a couple of weeks later she said I looked good because I had lost a lot of weight. We both had gained weight over the years. I never cared that she gained quite a bit of weight. I always told her she was beautiful, which she was to me. Even though I constantly told her many times, she would strut naked in front of me and ask if she was gorgeous and I would say she was and compliment her profusely. She needed constant reassurance. She later apologized for the pics and asked me to forgive her and rubbed up close to me. It was very hard, but I did say maybe someday but not now. She wasn't happy. She is narcissistic. A couple days later she was mad and told me I ruined the relationship with AP. When she told him I had the pics of him, he got mad and broke it off. I didn't care. She stuck me good for alimony. She had set up the situation with her lawyer, come to find out the only one that would work with her because everyone else refused because they thought she was crazy. I got to keep my business and had to refinance the house in my name. I also had to pay outstanding bills which were considerable and pay her lawyer. Now she can go find a sugar daddy if she can. I was probably one of the very few men who had the patience and naivete to be able to put up with her long term. She won't try to come back. She knows there is no way I would take her back. She saw once when I was picking up my daughter from the first marriage, the look on my face after meeting the ex's new fiancé. She later asked what I was thinking when I had turned away and was putting my daughter's suitcase in the vehicle. I told her I was thinking, you poor sucker, about the fiancé. I sent a letter to her parents outlining what she had done but thanking them for having been great in-laws. We liked each other and had always gotten along. I asked them to take care of her because she needed their support. She moved back to her parents several states away and I have ghosted her except for having to pay the alimony. She originally had said she wanted the house but then changed her mind. I asked why and she said she was moving back to her parents because everyone in our town loved me, because of my profession, and very few actually knew her. I told her that wasn't my fault. I made a lot of mistakes by not paying close enough attention to what my ex was doing and I was too trusting. It has cost me and I am still paying. Everyone should pay attention if their relationship seems to have changed for the worse because you may get reamed like I did. Always get a prenup for both of the partners' sake. I am much better now. Not dating, but I have women friends that I see socially and I am very happy doing what I want when I want. My psychiatrist at first thought I should date and pushed hard to get me to date, but now he says I'm the happiest he has seen me in years and keep doing what I'm doing. XW, 65F, were together 20 years, married 17. She had never been married. Here is a valuable tip for those dating in their 30s, 40s. Together 20 years, she is 65. So she was 45 when they met. 45 years old and never married. Think about that. Could there possibly be a larger red flag than that? The older a woman is, and she is still dating, this means that the men who have dated her in consideration of a long-term relationship, found enough wrong with her to step away. So let's say she dated from 18 to 45. That's 27 years. So in 27 years of dating men, every single one of them chose to leave. What more do you need to know? Oh, and I'm not bashing on the poor guy who is posting this. What I'm arguing is teaching the younger generations what to look out for. A lot of time, everything you need to know about a woman, you learned on the first 2 dates. Assuming you actually ask questions. I kind of have to agree. My father-in-law seems to have cheated on his then-wife with her sister. After his then-wife passed away, he was away from that sister for many years. The affair was never confirmed, but after he moved from the place everyone knew them, he got in contact and they very fast got into a relationship. At this point both were older and the sister had never been in a relationship. She was in her early 50s. He seemed happy in the beginning, but he regrets his decision so much. She practically holds his balls in her hands. She is very selfish. She only cares about money and has wanted to get her hands on his retirement money. Even if she has money herself. She also seems to be after his will and has stated that she doesn't want him to give money to my wife. She is pretty jealous of her. He is afraid of being alone, so he doesn't dare stand up for himself enough. He has stated that he regrets getting together with her. There was a reason why she at her 50s hadn't had one serious relationship. Reddit is an eye-opening experience for me. Now, I'm queer as a $3 bill, so I don't have a dog in the standard dating race. But I sit here and watch the younger generation just being a crashing, burning catastrophe. Watching these kids dating is a slow-motion train crash, and I really believe that the reason for it is because many of these men don't have a male figure that can teach them how to act, and how to navigate around dating and women. They seem to be teaching each other, and it's the blind leading the blind. I don't know how many posts, where I sit back and ask, really, how can you not know what to do? So many posts that could have been prevented years or months ago, had the young man been taught when to put their foot down and not back off, and when not to do so. And just to say it, because there will be that one smartass. The LGBT dating community is nowhere near perfect either. Married for 20 years, divorced for 8 years, 65-28 equals 37 years, still kinda old for first-time marriage. How is she now? Did she apologize sometime after this? Does she keep trying to talk to you? Does she have someone now? Indeed, we need these answers. I am much better now, posts a long dramatic story about a divorce 8 years ago. I consider it a warning to the youth. Learn from my mistakes. The Native Americans are right. Every time the elderly die, a library burns to the ground. Update, she moved 3 states away close to her family, and we have North Carolina at my insistence. She wanted to remain friends. I don't want to be used, and I see no reason to continue in the madness she seems to emit. I had put up with it for years and I don't trust her. I have no desire to know what she is doing or who she's with. She blocked me on all social media as far as I can tell. I don't block her because I don't care if she sees what I do. I'm only on FB, Twitter, and here. I maybe post on FB 2 or 3 times a year at the most. I use it to follow my nieces and nephews and their families. I know she blocked me because my psychiatrist knows I worry if something should happen to her, would her sisters keep her bank account open? To keep my support payments coming automatically. Knowing them, they might do that to get the money. He recommended that I go onto FB to see if she is still alive, but I am blocked. So other than knowing if she is still alive, I really don't care about anything else. I still do have feelings and some love for her, but I do the best I can to block out thoughts about her. I need this to work at completely getting over the relationship. I'm sure she has found someone else or 2 or more. It is very easy for her to attract men due to her looks and bubbly personality. She needs someone to help support her because my monthly payments are not enough to keep her in the lifestyle she likes. She mentioned in the past that she wanted to be like an aunt she used to have that was widowed. She mainly partied and wore mini skirts and drove a green Jaguar. She may have difficulty finding someone permanent. As said previously, she didn't get married until she met me. She had a couple of long-term relationships that never resulted in marriage. I understand most of her past relationships ended because she got bored or was looking for something better. Or, the men realized what she was really like and shied away from her. She told me before the divorce that her father told her to try to work it out with me because she would have a hard time finding a partner who was as solid, caring and especially as patient as I was. She has always had difficulty keeping long-term friends. There were many people that started out friends with her, but as several have told me, it was usually a totally one-sided friendship weighted on her side. Just like our relationship. We had very few couple friends because after being around them a couple of times they would fade away and often mention to me that they weren't comfortable around my wife. Having written all I have, it seems that I am saying that the breakdown and divorce was all her fault. It's not. I have problems of working too much, carrying my work with me mentally, and I had a slow building resentment because she would not work and appeared to lose all ambition to have a career. Even with the amount of patience I have, some of her craziness has eaten away at me over the years. I had thought I could live with her difficulties, but they have slowly eaten away at me over the years. Awesome sex couldn't stop these problems from growing in my mind. She started her professional career with great ambition and desire. With her inability to function within the perimeters that are required by her job titles, mainly paperwork or reports, she wasn't able to do what is needed. So she decided she just wanted to garden and not worry about a career. I would support us. She wouldn't take an easier job like retail because it was beneath her. When the economy dipped back around 2008, it did hurt me financially. With my decreased income and her lack of income, it was hard to keep my head above water. I was feeling like I was in a whirlpool that was slowly sucking me down into financial ruin. This affected my feelings for her partly, and that had to show no matter how much I tried not to let it show. Even with having a large spousal support payment, I'm doing much better now financially. Edit, my clients have commented during the year after the divorce, that I looked much less stressed and smiled and joked more. Just generally more happy. I also have a lowered blood pressure and cholesterol that my doctor has commented on. So though I miss some things about the relationship, I am happier and much better off alone for now. We hope that by sharing these stories with interested folks like you, we can help people recognize the signs of a relationship in trouble, and avoid so many of these heartbreaking situations yourselves. Have a good day or night, wherever you are.